Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Cheltenham Roar, brought to you by oddschecker and PricedUp. I'm your host, George Elek, and I'm delighted to be joined by oddschecker's very own racing tipster, Andy Holding, and PricedUp ambassador, Stephen Power, aka the racing blogger. This is episode 1 of an 8-show series in the run-up to the Cheltenham Festival, where we'll be looking at the current racing with a Cheltenham Festival lens and looking ahead to see if we can get any festival pointers. And today we'll be looking at Saturday's racing at Cheltenham for Cheltenham Trials Day. Blogger, you are the ambassador.
I am indeed.
For those at home who haven't got a PricedUp account or haven't heard of PricedUp, don't know about the firm, what can you tell them and why should they sign up?
Well, first things first, if you don't know about PricedUp, you've been living under a rock or what? I've been shouting loud enough. They're a new firm with aggressive traders who actually want to lay bets for a change. They want to take customers on. These traders have an opinion on football, on sport, on horse racing, and if their opinion doesn't match yours, they're going to give you a better price and lay you a good bet. We've been doing some phenomenal boosts recently that are really catching the eye. There's a lot of value there to be had, and I think the impact we've made in the last 6 months has been huge. We're only going to get bigger. All the big boys are scared of us right now. PricedUp are going to be massive. If you don't have an account, come and have a look at some of the great value.
Yeah, I've got an account.
Brilliant.
And I'm loving it.
Have you been sniping a few of the boosts?
Yeah, I wouldn't be lying. I'm using it regularly. You'll see me probably have a bet during the show. Right. Andy, you signed up yet?
I'm looking forward to getting my account opened up now. Yeah. I'm
a
little bit slow off the blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will
get Blogger to sign up for you, and then you get special treatment. I'm sure.
Good.
We're not giving Andy that much. He's too good.
Any promos or anything for the?
Yeah, we're going to have a nice boosted double for Saturday for Cheltenham, which is a very nice card at the moment. We're going to be doing a good double on East India Dock. Obviously, one of the most impressive juvenile hurdle winners of the season, and everybody's favourite potter, Potter's Charm. So there'll be a big double on that. Stay tuned. It's going to be probably the biggest price in the industry, and I know punters will be licking their lips to get on.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, so we're going to be going through the races on Saturday's card at Cheltenham, race by race. Obviously, we're recording this just before midday on Thursday, so final decks are just out. Prices are really volatile. So I'll read out PricedUp's price as now, but that might change by the time this goes out. So these, we can't hold them to the prices, but as Stephen says, we can be pretty sure that the PricedUp will be aggressive with their pricing, and we'll look to look after you guys if you sign up off the back of this. But let's get into it, and let's start with the 1240. They've switched the first 2 races around on Saturday. So we're starting with the Novice Handicap Chase over the extended 2.5 miles, and Jaguar is the 2-1 favourite. They had a Resplendent Grey at 4-1. Masaccio is 13-2. Ryan's Rocket 15-2. Whistle Stop Tour 17-2. Same price, Guide Your Dreams, 9-1 bar. The other 2 there. Andy, how do you see this?
First thing I will say, and just remind punters of a scenario that often happens at this meeting. Front runners dominate on the chase track. Write that in capital letters on your racing post on Saturday morning. Particularly this Novice Handicap Chase. Ginny's Destiny won it last year, made all the running. Stage Star 2 years ago, made all the running. Imperial Alcazar 3 years ago, was always in the first 3. The first 3 home were 1, 2, 3 throughout. Simply the bets a year before. He was always in the first 2. It's all about getting into a good rhythm on the new course. So even though you'd look at horses like Resplendent Glory and say, on form, the handstand form, the Highland form, he must have a solid chance at his current price. He's going to be out the back door. That's not where you want to be on the chase track here. So I'd oppose horses that are likely to be ridden off the speed and try and get on horses consequently therefore are going to be a little bit more further up with the pace. I think it was Imperial Saint, was it, who was declared to run in this? They've decided to run him in against the older horses, being a novice, later on the card, which we'll talk about in a second or two. He's out of the way, so that should give a clear passage through to Billy the Real Big Red. Oliver Green. Oliver Greenall's horse, and Josh Guerrero. He's made all on both occasions. First time out at Uttoxeter, really good last time out when he beat Fireflyer at Exeter. His time figures are very solid. He jumps really, really accurately. He's basically got a run style that will be incredibly well suited to, as I say, the new course. Once you get into rhythm down the far side, when those 6 fences come at you really quickly, you need to be pinging your fences. He'll be out in front with Clearwater. Ryan's Rocket potentially. Guard Your Dreams is a little bit of pace pressure. But they're not absolute out-and-out front runners like he is. And he has got speed for 2 miles as well. He won over 2-1 last time out. So he's got the combination of tactical speed for 2 miles, but he stays 2.5 really well. And I think he's the value bet in the race. I certainly respect Jaguar. Probably be more suited to perhaps maybe a strong gallop bit and maybe a bigger field. Maybe I'm kind of like thinking the Novices Handicap at the Cheltenham Festival might be his bag, because he obviously he's got very good form timed in with Jinko Blue, who beat him last time out at Uttoxeter. I think that's an extremely good run. I think he's the right favourite on ability and potential, but like I say, run style, he's more of a resplendent glory, coming off the pace, maybe in a bigger field at the festival. But for this small field, 8 runners, Billy the Real Big Red, I think he's going to get loose on the lead.
9-1 there for Andy's selection. Stephen, how do you see this?
Yeah, I think the weather is the most important thing. So apparently there's a 7-hour band of rain at Cheltenham on Friday night, which is going to go on for the 7 hours. But the ground officially is good. But we could actually be looking at good to soft come the morning and the day, which is going to really impact the races. And like Andy said, front runners at Cheltenham normally do really well, especially in novice handicap chasers. I quite like the look of Lucinda Russell's Whistle Stop Tour, who cost 115 grand. Won a pair of handicaps up in Scotland, dominated from the front. He's gone up about a stone in the handicap, but he's improving. And I like the way this horse jumps. I like his appetite. I think he's going to be in the right place at the right time. It's obviously costing Lucinda a lot of money, sending the horse down from where she trains. Will definitely be the longest traveller of the day. And I think he could run a really big race. Jaguar is a fascinating horse. I can't get that performance where he beat Lowry's Bar out of my head, because that is bloody good form. That's the best piece of form in this race by a long way. He could be a handicap blot off a 1-3-2, or they could be teeing him up for Cheltenham. You just don't really know. But for me, it would be a split bet between Whistle Stop Tour and Jaguar. I think they're the 2 unexposed horses in the race. Very disappointed with Masaccio last time out at Kempton. His jumping fell to pieces. Did he stay to 3 miles? Maybe not. But at times, I think you could question him. Maybe he's a bit soft in a finish. So I'm quite keen on Lucinda Russell's here. Whistle Stop Tour. I think he's about 7-1, is he?
17-2.
17-2. There you go.
Big price. Yeah, 2 against the field there for Andy and Stephen. 17-2 and 10-1. As this is the Cheltenham Royal, we are looking ahead to the festival with all of these selections. And you mentioned Ginny's Destiny there, followed up that win last time by coming second in the Turners. The Turners is no more. We now have the Jack Richards handicap chase, which has replaced it. Anyone have any idea who Jack Richards is?
No idea, unfortunately.
No. I should have done some research.
Well, I looked for it. Yeah. I looked for the press release, and I have no idea who he is. I'm saying this now, it's probably a tribute race, so I'm going to look like an absolute... Anyway. But with a kind of Cheltenham lens, like say you're right, blogger, and say Lucinda goes and wins this race handily.
Yeah.
What do you think, given it's a handicap and you get penalised for the win and whatever?
Whistle Stop Tour isn't a Cheltenham Festival.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in my opinion.
So is this a race where we're like, we look at this in isolation and we don't look at the festival?
That's his D-Day. Whereas Jaguar, they could be plotting up every festival going, what they normally do with the JP horses. But Whistle Stop Tour for me...
You said it allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Whistle Stop Tour for me is a future Scottish national horse. He's going to stay all day.
Yeah.
If they get that dose of rain, it could really bring his stamina into a play.
So almost with Jaguar, 2-1 now, if Jaguar goes off 4.55 on the exchanges and runs mid-div, you're probably looking ahead to the Jack Richards for that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's a very good guide to Cheltenham Festival winners this race. As I mentioned when I did the Roll of Honour. Jenny's Destiny, Stage Star, Imperial Alcazar, Simpler the Bet, Mr. Whittaker back in the day when he won the old Novices Handicap, for which obviously is the new auguration this season, and they've got rid of the Turners. So the normal horses that tend to win this would ordinarily go for the Grade 1 all weighted race. But now, obviously, we're looking at a handicap. I think is it 145 the ceiling for that. So the dynamics of that slightly changed. You're not going to get like a future Ryanair horse, in particular like Ginny's Destiny, Stage Star, that kind of horse. You're just looking at a really good top quality handicapper. I mean, Jaguar 132. Even if he was to win this, he still gets in. Yeah. And he might need to win it to actually get in, because the ceiling is going to be very, very condensed from top to bottom. I think back in the old days, I think 145 was top, and some of the bottom ones were like 140. It's a skill in itself just to actually get your horse handicapped well enough to get in it, let alone to go and win it. So, he's gonna have to shoot it from 132 to get to even remotely think about getting in. And I say he's around about 14-1 for that aforementioned handicap, with quite a few firms that have priced that race up. So yeah. He's a very intriguing running Jaguar, a very classy horse.
Puts pay to my theory about being run down the field there if we won't get into the race come the festival. Right, we'll move on to the Triumph Trial now. Initially, it was meant to be the first race on the card, but is now the 1:15, so the second race on the day. And we are looking at the favourite here. East India Dock is even money. Sauvignon 5-1, Stencil 10-1, Quantock Hills 14-1. 14-1, kind of bar the rest of them, 10 runners here. And Andy, I'll come to you first again because East India Dock is a horse that you've got some decent anti-post slips for.
Yes, been as an advocate of times and speed figures. We as a company that obviously operate under those banners. We have like a line in the sand every year what a Triumph Hurdle winner should be running to numbers wise. So you can easily sort the wheat from the chaff come the festival. Horses that just haven't run the kind of speed figure that a championship winner should have done can get kicked into touch. I thought East India Dock was fairly impressive first time at Huntingdon, but didn't really sort of set the world alight in the numbers. But then when he came to Cheltenham, boy, did he raise his game and raised his game so significantly that, based on our data, he would have won every Triumph Hurdle in the last 10 years based on that. And I went through them as well. The only horse who's run a similar time figure to him was Al Connor.
Wow.
All the ones afterwards haven't run the same kind of number as East India Dock. So,
big question here is, what was Lalamba's time like?
Good, but nowhere near East India Dock's. So, I think there's been a bit of an overreaction with Lalamba. Yes, he was impressive, and he's obviously going to get better. And it wasn't his fault that they didn't go a particularly strong gallop.
Yeah.
I emphasise that. He's only had one chance to run a number, and the number was respectable. But I think he has got to improve to get to East India Dock. And if East India Dock, as the betting suggests, and as I think he'll win Saturday, then it'd be interesting to see the dynamics and how they price the race up then. I think he's a lot better than Burdett Road. If you're looking at the Sagino Burdett Road comparisons to Lalamba East India Dock last year, obviously Sagino battered the as it was then favourite for the Triumph Hurdle in Burdett Road, and we had a whole switcheroo in the market doing Sagino was like even money afterwards. I don't think they'll be, they'll be pushing out Lalamba, but I think the 6-1 available for East India Dock can be under pressure, because I just don't see any in this field that are remotely as good as him. Obviously, you've got Sauvignon and Stencil. They come from the French provinces. We don't know how good they can be, but they're not necessarily from yards that traditionally do well in the Triumph Hurdle. Paul Nicholls, for instance, maybe they're thinking the Boodles for him. I don't know what the plan is. Maybe the Boodles for the other one as well, Stencil. But all the others, the Quantock Hills, the Terra Firmas, all the other horses that have run and won over this side of the Irish Sea, they're absolutely miles off East India Dock. I mean, miles. You're talking 15, 20 lengths behind, which is the distance he won the trial, the previous trial by. So it should be a fairly strongly run race. There's plenty of pace on in there. I think Sam can just do what he wants, really, just bide his time. He's such an accurate jumper as well. I mean, he's just brilliant over his hurdles. So I think he'll certainly get that bet up with the priced up. I think he'll get that part of the bet up, and then you've just got to sweat on Potter's Charms winning the last.
East India Dock. Andy sold.
Yep.
Even money. How do you feel about that?
So I copped on to this horse pretty early when he was trained by James Fanshawe on the flat. They got a nice handicap mark after the usual 3 runs. A son of Goldenhorn, a typical big scopy improver. And he ran at Goodwood over 2 miles, stepping up in trip under an apprentice jockey. He was backed in from 2-1 to odds on, and I had my kahunas on that day. He won by 5 lengths, eased down. They took a big chance running him at Donny next time out in a 0 to 110 handicap, which was really good, and he only got beat a few lengths. I was quite surprised they actually took the gamble and took him off the flat and went to James Owen, because there's no doubt this horse is going to be back on the flat in the summer, because in my opinion he's a listed class horse. He went to Wincanton first time out, a right-handed track. He opened up at about 8 to 11. I called up everyone I knew under the sun, said you've got to have whatever you can get on at this.
Didn't call me, mate.
Yeah. Sorry. He done what he had to do.
In the sanctum.
exactly.
2 out, he looked in a little bit of trouble. You know, Wincanton, a sharp right-handed track. But once he jumped the last, he powered away. Now, what amazed me was when the betting opened for that race at Cheltenham, he was 11-4, 3-1 in the morning. I was sitting there like a cat licking cream. I couldn't believe my eyes. I tissued him at about an 11-10 shot. So I've managed to, you know, get a bit of help and get a fair few quid on. We've got to Cheltenham on the day. I think he was 11-8 in the ring. And all he's done is shorten. All the big players wanted to be on 5 grand bets, 10 grand bets, 20 grand bets. And he'd done exactly what I expected him to do going left-handed. I think all he's going to do is improve. You know, you look at his stallion, his father's career, he's a big improver with age. The 2 French horses, completely unknown. Nobody knows anything about them. As Andy's already said, they're probably going to need a run, first run in the country. And Noel George's horses that he has bought over this year for JP, they haven't exactly set the world alight, so there's no kind of yardsticks. For me, this is all about East India Dock. I wouldn't be as keen on Andy has stated for the Triumph Hurdle. I think Luamba is an absolute machine. We've got to remember, this is an ex-flat horse who's had about 9 or 10 runs. Luamba's had 1 in France. This is a baby. And believe you me, the work this horse has been doing at 7 Barrows is bloody good.
Is there a chance then that Cheltenham comes too soon?
For
Luamba?
No, not at all. No, not at all. I thought what he'd done there at Ascot, beating a 110 flat horse, was unbelievable. I think Harry Derham's horse back in third's a really good yardstick. And let's not forget, Nico was just hands and heels. And the way he jumped the last, and I was at Ascot, I saw the horse in the flesh. And when you see a good horse, I go racing often, as everyone knows. When you see a good horse, they stand out. You look at Sergino, he's beautiful.
Yeah.
He looks like a model. You look at Shishkin back in the day, he looked like a model. You look at Sprinter Sacra, another one. And there's no one better with these young horses than Nicky Henderson. He's an absolute genius. I thought what he'd done for his first run in the UK was staggering. And I think the gap he put between them was unbelievable. I think we could be looking at the next Shishkin, Alti or Sergino. I think very good.
Priced up, having a Lamba 6-4 for the Triumph Hurdle and East India Dock 6-1.
It's a scary price, isn't it? 6-4. I wouldn't be lumping on at that price myself.
No.
You know, I do feel a bit envious of all these boys in 7 Barrows who've got 25s and 20s.
Yeah, but I guess you're kind of looking at, would you rather be on, you know, back East India Dock each way at 6-1, you're getting kind of 5-4 the place.
I wouldn't want to be on him for the Triumph Hurdle.
No.
No, not at all. Not for me personally. Contrasting opinions to Andy here.
But so you wouldn't. So is the Triumph a no-bet race for you at the moment?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's some Irish horses in there who we're going to see at the Dublin Racing Festival who, if they do what people expect them to do, they could be 3-1 second fav. But let's see what East India Dock does here at Cheltenham, because let's not forget the form of the race he won at Cheltenham hasn't really worked out. Nothing's come out of the race. I think there's been one winner so far who won an egg and spoon race. But you can't take away from East India Dock. He was bloody impressive, and he's a lovely horse in the making. But I think he's going to get better and better as time goes on. You know, we'll see.
Yeah, there's a similar argument you could be made about Lalumba. I mean, yes, he beat 110 horse, but the 110 horse man pulled his arms out for a mile and a half. So in the end, he was running against a horse who was a completely busted flush at the last, and he beat it by 3 lengths. So 6 of one, half a dozen the other, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what makes the game. Opinions.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I'll leave it to those at home to decide between the punter and the pro as to the triumph there between the two guys. Differing opinions on that 6-1 about the favourite here, but I think they both agree that. Would you say a bet at even money about the East India Dock?
I'd say so, yeah.
Looking the way the market's going generally, I think that even money might be gone by the time.
I mean, you either do want. I mean, if you're a here and now punter and you're not worried about the triumph, just want to back an even money winner, then fine. Yeah. But if you like to lock in value, then I still think 6-1's a reasonable each way bet. You know,
are you backing it to win, Andy, or each way at 6s?
Being as what Lalumba did the other day, and obviously I respect what you said, and I got the vibes prior to when he won as well at Ascot the other day. I didn't do anything about it, but you'd have to respect him. So you'd probably look to back him each way, because beyond him, the Irish this year haven't got a great deal. Yeah. Willie doesn't look as though he's got anything special. St. Lucie didn't do anything on the numbers when she won first time out. I actually think the horse that chased home Hello Neighbour is probably the pick of the two. Lady something. Oh,
Gavin Cromwell's horse.
No, the one.
Lady Vague Allen.
That's the one. Yeah. I think she's the better of the two. And I think she'll probably win at the Dublin Racing Festival. I think she'll win that Spring Juvenile.
Save that for next week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So apart from them, that they're not the normal standard that you'd have from the Irish contingent.
It's a bit of a theme that as well. I mean, we'll get onto that later on. We'll talk about the Novice Hurdle later. Let's move on now to the 150, the third race on the card, which is the Handicap Chase, where we have got Iroko is the 130 favourite with Priced Up. Ginny's Destiny, second fav at 4-1. Imperial Saint, as Andy says, they've chosen this route for Imperial Saint. 7-1, 15-2 Soul Icon, 8-1 bar those. Blogger, how do you see this?
A really, really tough race. A very, very tough race. I mean, I was one of those punters who went to Ascot and backed the Rocco, and he fell at the first. So I was just staring at my feet for an hour after the race. So it was a painful day. I thought he was an absolute certainty. He was a max bet for me, so that was pretty grim. Listen, they're targeting this horse at the Aintree Grand National. So I don't really know what they're actually looking to do with this horse. It's quite tricky to weigh up. I don't like backing horses who have been targeted at Aintree this early out, especially off his mark of 152. I mean, if he wins this and wins it nicely, he's going to get a minimum of £5 penalty. I've just got to oppose him based on that. I want to take him on. It's a funny race. You've got Soul Icon, who's gone up £75 in the handicap in 2.5 years. He could be arguably the most improved horse in British history. And his beating of Edwardstone last time at Kempton, you know, isn't bad form at all. Imperial Saint's a horse I put up for PricedUp on his first 2 wins at Aintree. I was very keen on this horse. I think he's probably hit his mark now for 144. I don't want to be with him going round Cheltenham. I think his jumping can be a bit sketchy, and I think he's going to get taken on for the pace. So I'm going to get rid of Imperial Saint. I'm going to get rid of Iroko. I've been very disappointed with Ginny's Destiny this year. As a punter, I'm very unforgiving. I don't give horses second chances. They either perform or they don't, or there's got to be a real strong reason why they don't. And like a lot of Paul Nicholls horses this year, they haven't hit their peak form. I'm going to stick here with Soul Icon to run another great race for Kieran Burke. What a horse, what a training performance over 3 years to get the horse up £75 in the handicap. Has he hit the heights of his progression? We're going to find out on Saturday, but I think he'll run a mighty race.
Backing each way at 15-2?
I don't back each way myself. I'm straight on the nose.
Always on the nose.
Yeah.
Andy?
Again, mentioning the same theme as I have done at the start of the show with front runners. This race is absolute haven for front runners. Garlaw last year, Il Rodotto 2 years ago, Torn and Frayed when he won 3 years ago, made all the running. Sipage, Syria Delac, Frodon, of course, in the hands of Bryony Frost. Once you get in the rhythm out there on the front end, it's virtually impossible for even good horses to come from off the speed. So I tend not to look at particular obvious form lines more than other people would in races like this. So I whittled it down to 2. I think they'll probably get to the front here more than most, and that Imperial Saint is definitely one of them. He's been exceptional when he's got an uncontested lead. I'm not sure whether he'll get one in here because there is a bit of pace pressure up front with Ginny's Destiny and the aforementioned Soul Icon.
Yeah.
I'd probably bet 2 against the field here. Just be a little bit of a cop out. I'd probably go Imperial Saint and Soul Icon for this podcast purposes. I think one of them will probably lead, but which one it is, as the race develops, kind of thing. That's probably going to be a more way of approaching it. But I do like Soul Icon. He's a fantastic jumper. When he won the Rising Stars, he had handstands well and truly beat when he fell 3 out. So that was the kind of pace he was going. He was good enough to beat Edwardstone the other day, beat him fair and squared. Edwardstone ran really well against John Bon. I think he's been a bit underestimated.
And he's only an 8-year-old.
Exactly,
Still improving.
And he's got form around Cheltenham as well, albeit over hurdles. He goes just as well left-handed, right-handed. He's just a really likeable horse. But because he's trained by who he's trained by, and there's other more sexier horses in it, i.e. Ginny's Destiny as well, Il Rodotto, he's going to be slightly overpriced. But given the run style of he's got, then I'm prepared to overlook that.
There we go, the first Cheltenham Raw certified double tip from the lads. Soul Icon 15-2 with PricedUp. Opened 8-1 first thing with PricedUp, already 15-2. So the money is coming, so make sure you snap that up as early as you can. And Imperial Saint also getting a positive word from Andy there. I mean, we saw Garlaw win this last year and then go for the Ryanair where he was pulled up. Is this again another race where we can't really... And the options are basically go for the Ryanair, go for the plate. Yeah. But again, in terms of finding handicap clues for another handicap at a later date, it's very hard to kind of see a tracker form line easily. Yeah,
I mean, you've got Iroko who's been targeted at the Grand National, so you can rule him out for Cheltenham straight away. Ginny's Destiny is the obvious one that they'll want to get back to Cheltenham and do something, but he's going to have to step up on his form. Again, I think Imperial Saint has hit his mark off a 144, and the fact he's going to get taken on for the lead is going to put his jumping under a lot of pressure. I don't see him getting to the Cheltenham Festival myself. Il Rodotto, listen, he has his day, doesn't he? Young Freddie Gengel will be up there battling with Soul Icon, probably at the front end of the pace. But I don't particularly think there is a Cheltenham Festival horse in this race. No. Not one that I'd be looking to back at all. I
agree. I think the ones that possibly could be factored into the conversation for the Ryanair, like Ginny's Destiny, just not quite in the form as they were this time last year. Iroko obviously ran in the The old Turners, he finished 5th, didn't he, last year behind Grey Dawning. He's not going to be quick enough. I don't think they'll probably even enter him for the Ryanair. They've got potentially factor 4 for that if he doesn't.
I was going to say, I mean, it's a hot enough Ryanair anyway.
Exactly,
so.
yeah. You know, with obviously Protector out doing what he did the other day, and there's 1 or 2 other names. And the old Autos of this world will end up running in the 2.5 mile handicap, the old Marmot fleet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ginny's Destiny is 33 to 1 with priced up for the Ryanair, which kind of gives you an idea as to the kind of quality gap between the two races.
Yeah, I wouldn't be taking 100 to 1 myself.
No. Let's get on to one where we should get some more festival clues in the 215, the Cotswold Chase, where, to run through priced up's current, Long Press is even money, Gentleman's Game 5 to 2, Chantry House 13 to 2, Stage Star 8 to 1, Delta Work 16 to 1, and Tommy Bow 66 to 1. Andy, how do you see this at the prices?
Yeah, I think the price is absolutely spot on here. That's how I evaluate the form of the 2 respective horses at the front end of the market. I think it's between them, the 2. I mean, Chantry House won a handicap here the last time out, but he's a difficult horse to quantify at the best of times. I think even Nicky Henderson was taken aback by his manner of victory of the day. He's very much a horse that can do it, but getting him to do it back to back is another thing. Stage Start isn't the horse he was a couple of seasons ago. Delta Work's probably having a prep for the cross country, and Tommy Bow, you know, he's probably looking for a little bit of prize money and give the Seamus Mullins camp a bit of a day out. Obviously, Gentleman Game represents the Galopin de Champs form line, having finished 3rd in the Savills. That was probably his career high run, as far as I could see. On our time figures as well, that was his career high run, even though he's won the race at Wetherby, the Charlie Hall. So he's a commendable horse. But I think Long Press sets a really good standard here. I think he's 3rd behind Banbridge. Certainly on our time figures, he's a better run. He's a better run. Venetia Williams horses are in reasonably good shape. They had a little bit of a mini dip, didn't they? But they've come back with a couple of winners in the last 7 days. He's got great Cheltenham form. You know, he obviously won the old Brown Advisory, and it was a cracking run beyond Galopin de Champs last year's Gold Cup on ground too quick for him. He's going to get the rain that he wants, according to Stephen's forecast. So I think even money, there's 3 of them, isn't there? 3 even money shots. East India Dot, Long Press and Potter's Charm. It's take your pick on which you think's the best value of the 3.
Who's the best one, Andy? Who do you love?
East India Dot for me.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't got to jump 20 fences.
Well, I'm going to have to agree.
Yeah.
Do you agree their price is right?
This will not be beaten.
All right, Steve.
This will not be
Stephen.
beaten.
Yeah.
The Long Press.
Yeah.
Receiving
All
weight
in.
from well, he'd be a 5 out of 5 bet for me. You know, he's gone round Cheltenham 3 times. He's won a Brown Advisory Trace very impressively. As Andy said, he was 4th in a Gold Cup on ground too quick. And let's not forget, you know, he's 4th to one of the greatest horses in the history of the Cheltenham Gold Cup, Galopin de Champs. I think this horse still hasn't got the credit that he deserves, but when he wins in March, he certainly will do. This is a bloody higher class horse, and let's not forget, he started off winning off a 128. He's now a 170 chaser. So an unbelievable training performance from Venetia Williams. He's a joy to watch jumping wise. He very rarely makes any mistakes whatsoever. Charlie Deutsch has him in the right place the whole time, and this is quite a poor race in the grand scheme of things. I mean, Chantry House won an average handicap last time out. He's on the way down. I'd be absolutely amazed if he was involved. Stage Star, another Paul Nicholls horse who hasn't really trained on from last season. I quite frankly don't know what Delta Work's even doing in the race, and Tommy Bow exactly the same position there. It was a lovely run at Kempton. A real nice comeback after 289 days off the track. He'll be absolutely teed up for this. The ground's going to be perfect, and he's getting £6 off the second fav. Bet. 5 out of 5 bet. Wins.
There you go. 5 out of 5 bet wins, says Blogger. And you're getting even money with priced up. This feels like nap territory for the man to my right. I mean, you mentioned that he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah.
25 to 1 for the Gold Cup. Finished 4th last year.
Again,
I know you say you don't bet each way, but is that...
No, I don't bet each way. So if you're going to bet each way, basically Galopin de Champs looks he's going to win or be second, right? Unless he falls. So you're betting 2 places for the each way terms. Yeah. Well, I don't want to bet each way for 2 place terms when you don't think you can win. I think it's a waste of a bet. Yeah. I could back him to place, but I wouldn't back him each way. Listen, he's an admirable horse, and he could definitely be in the first 3. Absolutely. If he is 25s and that's your cup of tea, and listen, galloping could fall. It's happened in the Turners before. I wouldn't put you off, especially if it turns up soft. He's a sound jumper. He travels well. He's going to run to a mark of 168 every time he runs. And I think there's question marks, you know, for a few horses in that race. Jerry Colombe's coming into the race off the back of a bad run at Down Royal. Will he run in the Irish Gold Cup at the DRF? We don't know. He's definitely an each-way play for people, for sure. He's a very admirable horse. Probably flies under the radar slightly. I'd be absolutely gutted if he can't win this Cotswold chase.
And he races up with the speed as well.
Yeah. I mean,
he's not a confirmed front runner, but I presume Seisha will make the running. But he's the type of horse that'll track the front runner. So he's going to be running to the run style of what usual winners of this race do.
Winners of this race have a pretty poor record in the Gold Cup.
Yeah. They do.
They're
all UK trained, that's why.
Well, yeah, I mean, Shishkin was the one that went closest.
And Santini?
Sorry, that's what I meant.
The old boy.
Just pick that up again, yeah. Yeah, Santini was the one who went closest, just touched off by Album Photo, having won it. I mean, is there any reason to think any of these could reverse that form? Probably not with Galloper at the top of the market.
No, there isn't really.
Capadonna went for Ryanair last year. Could that be a route?
Yeah, he's an odd one, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, Capadonna, they had him in this race, and he looks all for the world like he wants extreme distances, but he can be flexible enough to run well over short. He's just one of those horses.
Been trained for the national, isn't he?
I think so, yeah. He ran in it last year, did he not?
Yeah, and the year before.
Yeah. So that's probably the plan with him.
Yeah.
Onto the international hurdle now, and we're not getting the clash that we hoped for.
No.
Blogger.
No.
Constitution Hill 10 on.
Yep.
With priced up here. Brentford Hope 7-1. Fidu Dairy 20-1.
Yep.
Joya Machine 66-1. Spirit Space 66-1. It's great we're seeing Constitution Hill back out again for Cheltenham.
It is.
But we're not seeing...
I'm not going to be depressive about this, George.
Fine.
We're seeing the greatest horse since Isterbrack.
Yeah.
And people who have paid to get into Cheltenham on the day are in for something special.
I mean, did you think... And I'm sure it'll be the line will be probably weather dependent with Lossiemouth not having made the trip over.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Constitution Hill saw off Lossiemouth relatively easily, despite the fact Lossiemouth traded much that morning as favourite. Obviously Constitution Hill went off favourite. Is there any reason you think that we could have seen a tighter contest between the two this time around?
Listen, she jumped off and she just, for no stage at that race did she look like the same horse we saw at Ferry House.
Yeah.
For whatever given reason. But she's a mare, and mares do this. They often throw in a bad run. They're not all Annie Powers are consistent the whole time, or honeysuckles. I think what people need to realise is, I was at the Gallop at Newbury where Constitution Hill got beat by Sergino, not that they were racing, but he took a heavy blow when he came back in. I was there, just like when Gallop in the Champs got beat in the John Durkin, and I filmed it and put it up on social media and said, wow, look at the blow he's taken. And bookies pushed him out from 5-2 for the fours, for the Gold Cup. I've ploughed in and got a couple of grand on a four straight off the bat, because the horse isn't fit and he's ran a blinder.
Yeah.
It's a similar situation with Constitution Hill here. How fit do you think he was going to Kempton? I'd say he was about 90% max, nowhere near razor sharp. Nico's been very sympathetic riding the horse. He's only asked him to do what he needs to do. She'll never get any closer ever again. All you Lossiemouth fans who think you're going to get closer the next time because it's Cheltenham, his two peak performances have been at Cheltenham.
Yeah.
This is the greatest horse we may have seen in the history of horse racing. There's nothing getting near him, no State Man, no Lossiemouth. Just enjoy it. He's 10-1 on for sure. Have a distance bet because he'll win by over 10 lengths in my opinion. If you can get the even money that will be available for that, you should be licking your lips. But it's just a joy to see him. I'm delighted Nicky's running him because we haven't seen much of this horse. But what he done in the Supreme and what he done in the Champion Hurdle, my God. As a race fan, you go horse racing to see great horses, and Jesus, this is something out of the ordinary.
Are you surprised Nicky's giving him another run here before?
No, because he won that race at Kempton really nicely. He's obviously come back to Seven Barrows. He's trained well. He's eaten up. He's in good condition. And when it comes to training racehorses, that man is an absolute mercurial genius. He loves his horses inside out. He lives and breathes them. And if he knows that horse is right, he's running. And I think we're going to see something classy. Let's face it, he hasn't got much to beat. So I think Nico will just open him up and stride clear.
How did the run at Kempton stack up with Constitution Hill's previous exploits?
Right up there with the very best speed figures we've got. At the same time, Brighter Days Ahead did exactly the same over the other side of the Irish.
I was going to say, because obviously this isn't a punting race on Saturday at all. But Champion Hurdle, we've still got Constitution Hill available at 4-7, which some people don't like 4-7 shots, but it's not a 10-on shot.
No.
Brighter Days Ahead and Lossiemouth both 4-1. What do you make of that?
If they both ran against him on the day, I think it'll be probably a little bit more interesting than Stephen's making out.
Yeah.
Because the dynamic is, I would have thought Brighter Days Ahead will go off the kind of speed, or let's say that the Gigginstown operation, if they use King of Kingsfield as a sacrificial lamb again, will really serve it up. I mean, that gallop that Brighter Days Ahead went in Leopardstown was backed up by the time figure, and it completely broke the back of State Man, who, looking at the racing pros today, the Willie Mullins team have still got a huge amount of faith in. They haven't written him off at all. He's still their number one hope for the Champion Hurdle. So you could say, okay, he probably wasn't right, and there was a few Willie's horses, including Lossiemouth, that probably weren't quite right. Kempton as well, with Ballyburn, that they just didn't look right on the day. So whichever way you strip it down, Lossiemouth and Brighter Days Ahead, fingers crossed if they do both run, and I hope they do, and they don't take the easy route out and go down the mares, will certainly make for a really good viewing in the Champion Hurdle. I don't think it'll be a straightforward. I think, put it this way, Constitution Hill was not going to come there and win it on the bridle. I think he's going to have to work to win it. Obviously, he won't Saturday. I think Nico will probably just ride him from the front. He'll take all the sort of issues of what's going to make the running, all that kind of stuff out their window, and he'll just go off in front and just let him saunter home. But he's the only horse, I think, who could put another extra 2,000 on the gate, despite him being 10 to 1 on, than any other horse in training.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was a flat race and there was a 10 to 1 on shot, those 1,000, 2,000 people will stay at home. Yeah. But I think it just shows you what the kind
of... Well, Andy, I'm one of those who might be jumping on the train to go and see him.
Well, that's what National Hunt
5-hour journey up and down.
That's what National Hunt fans are like. Yeah. A lot of the people there are there to be witness of Constitution Hill, for the sport, for the sight of and the aura of seeing a brilliant athlete, which I think you don't get on the flat.
But, looking at the mares' odds as well, Brighter Days Ahead 11 to 8, Lossiemouth 5 to 2, which shows that the assumption is that Brighter Days Ahead is more likely to run in the mares and Lossiemouth.
Possibly.
But I mean, just in terms of prices wise, they're both 4 to 1 the pair for the Champion Hurdle. But then, but do you think the news that Lossiemouth isn't running here, how does that impact where you think she might turn up in March? Obviously, with the DRF coming in between.
I think that they're looking to, if they're going to have one more crack at him, they're going to sort of wait for March. Rich Richie likes runners at the festival, doesn't he? He doesn't want his bubble burst before March. Yeah. He wants all that kind of the hype to still be there, the thought, the prospect of perhaps turning the tables around. So yeah, I think it's fascinating. I just hope and pray that we get all 3 in the Champion Hurdle, because it'll be a hell of a spectacle. Constitution Hill against those 2 brilliant mares.
How do you price that up? All 3 of them line up for the Champion Hurdle?
If I could get anywhere near 5 to 4 on Con Hill, I'm having the biggest bet of my life, and that's big. Yeah. And as Andy says...
You probably would, Steve, to be fair. I think with those 2 on the day, there'll be plenty of bookmakers prepared to...
Yeah, especially if there's 8 runners. If there's 8 runners, and people are doing the bad each way bets for sure. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to put it straight out there. Brighter Days Ahead isn't going to run in the Champion Hurdle. Michael O'Leary's all about having a winner. He doesn't care where it is. He just wants to be there with his family in the winner's enclosure. He pays the bills and he's entitled to do that, and I respect that. So I think the fact that Gordon isn't running there in the DRF Irish Champion Hurdle, or supposedly not running, judging by the betting, is an indicator to me that they're tearing her up for the mares. I think Lossiemouth is going to beat State Man. I mean, that horse, to say he ran bad is an understatement. What
almost,
he done
almost
there
too
in
bad to be true, though. I know you say you're not forgiving.
I think you've got to go back to the run where Brighter Days Ahead beat him on the first run of the season. He came there to win that. Yeah. Now, unlike Galloping the Champs, who took a big blow in the parade ring, and I was in there, he didn't take the same blow. And you've got to remember, he's a much smaller, slimmer horse. He's a very small hurdler. I just think he's on the decline now. So look, I think Lossiemouth will win the Irish Champion Hurdle. She'll go and take on Con Hill, but like I said, she wouldn't blow the smoke out this horse's arse. She's nowhere near him. Nowhere near him. If this horse is, and as we saw at Kempton, is anywhere near back to his best, we're in for a real treat.
It's interesting with Brighter Days Ahead, though. Her 2 best performances have come over 2 miles.
Yeah.
Especially when she got beat last year in the mares. Baffling, eh?
I know.
Still crying over it.
I know she's supposed a good thing for the mares, which is obviously 2.5 though. So
here's a question for you: who's a better mare, Honeysuckle or Brighter Days Ahead?
Oh Christ, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to say, you'd have to say Honeysuckle, because she's been there and already done it. But
so if Con Hill was taken on Honeysuckle, you're all in, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's why I can't have any of the mares against him. Yeah. There's a level to this game.
I think she has the potential to be better than Honeysuckle Brighter Days Ahead. I think Gordon Elliott thinks that as well. So I'd have to say Honeysuckle for what she's done, but...
You know when she won at Down Raw first time out, she scraped home by about 3.5 lengths. She jumped like a bit of a boat at times. I was at Down Raw on the day. She was carrying a lot of condition on her belly. She was probably only about 85% fit. She got the job done. She went on to beat State Man by about, a length and a half the next time out. Yeah. If we take that phenomenal run out at Leopardstown last time, is she not just a bit overrated? And I know you use your time form figures, and I'm not a time form figures punter. Is she not a bit overrated based on that win last time out? Did the race just not fall apart?
If it was a 30-length victory and there was no time substance to it, I'd say yes. But it was such a massive jump up from what we'd previously got her doing. I think she'd run it to around about a 74 time figure, which won't mean anything to anyone out there, but she did an 81 when she won at Leopardstown, and Constitution Hill got an 80 when he won at Kempton.
Right.
So she's run furlong for furlong.
I mean, that's
pound for
fascinating.
pound on our data that we've got for like 10, 15 years of doing them. The two performances were virtually the same. So
if you get 4s on the day, are you having a massive each way bet?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
How do we make excuses for what happened at Cheltenham, beaten by Golden Ace?
Just one of those circumstances that sometimes arises. Horses just don't perform on the day, and it was a very, very slowly run race. It wasn't the test of stamina that she wants, and Golden Ace is a very speedy mare, and just did her for toe.
It was so painful watching her win at Aintree next time. She just came there and swung away.
I know. It's just,
yeah.
I don't know. You'd have to have that.
Horse racing.
Yeah.
That's why we love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
2 more races on the card, starting with the Cleeve hurdle now, the 3:35. Crambo is the 15-8 favourite with Priced Up. Strong leader 5-2, Gal Road 9-2, Montmoral 8-1, Botox has 11-1, as is Garlaw 22-1 Bar. And are you a big fan of Crambo coming into last year's festival for the stayers? Any excuses for that, and kind of where do you sit on him at the moment?
That's the problem, isn't it, George? I don't know whether he just had an off day. We talked about any horse can have an off day, or whether it was Cheltenham. That was his first run around Cheltenham. You'd have to have that back at the back of your mind, or certainly I am anyway, when I'm evaluating this race. I don't want to go down the same route again, particularly at a short price. I think there's other horses in this race that make slightly more appeal. Strong leader comes there off the back of a modest run last time out. I mean, I don't really know what happened to him. That was an uncharacteristically poor run from a horse who looked to be going through the ranks and improving incrementally each run from last year when he won at Aintree to when he won at Newbury, won the preeminent trial before Christmas when he beat Montmoral, and then all of a sudden he's beat one horse home at Ascot from absolutely nowhere. I think he's had is he had a wind up in between times? I think. Look at the Racing Post. I think he might have had his wind tinkered with. Maybe it was a breathing issue.
He's had a wind up since his last run.
So there you go. That could easily account for what happened, and we might see a better horse on Saturday. But as it stands here, and looking at the dead 8 runners, I've actually had an anti-post bet on this race. It's a bit of each way thievery. Probably not so much now.
That's what we love.
But I thought Gal Road was a great each way bet to nothing. I mean, you look at his form figures.
Get the trumpet out, Andy. What price you want at?
Sorry?
What price you want at?
Oh, nothing massive,
Okay.
like 6-7-1. I mean, we're not crowing over some 20-1 shot now.
9-2 now, still good. Yes.
Still solid each way for those that can get on the 9-2, and providing all 8 runners go. Of course, he's just so admirable and commendable. Yes, okay, he might find 1 too good for him, maybe, but he runs a track particularly well. I think virtually every race he runs in now is at Cheltenham, and he's often been caught out by trying to give 2 stones to horses like Doyen Quest and horses coming through the ranks like Long Draw, was it a couple of runs ago? They're almost impossible to do really against those improvers. But off level weights, in races like this, conditioned races where tactically it could be a bit messy, but he'll be out in front. He'll kick first, and he'll get quite a few of these off the bridle because he has got plenty of 2.5 mile speed. He could just nick this. This could be one of those moments where Crambo, strong leader, slight doubts out of them. The rest, the Botox has of this world, the Garlaws and the Montmorals are not the most reliable nowadays, are they? Let's face it. This could just be the day that Galward has his day in the sun. And I thought, like I say, anti-post looking at this, he was primed for a bit of each way skullduggery.
Ever the bridesmaid, maybe this time the bride.
Maybe.
Gal Road 9-2 with Priced Up here for the Cleeve hurdle, 3rd favourite. Plugger, how do you see this?
Oh, really tricky.
Yeah, it's tough,
a race I won't be having a bet in. I'll probably be at the bar at Cheltenham while it's on.
Which is your favourite bar at Cheltenham?
Whichever one I can get to.
Are you a Guinness Village man? Are you
I'm a big Guinness drinker, as everyone knows. So yeah, probably near the Guinness Village at times.
Okay.
That'll be my breather race after Conhill.
Yeah. You can have drinks in front of the race.
Fantastic, and so you should when you're paying £8 a pint.
I know.
About time. It's all about the experience. I think that's what race courses really need to wake up to.
Yeah.
When you travel as a race goer, there can be long days. You've got to have a good time, and bringing your drink into the enclosures, it should just be a normality in the sport. We're in an outdoor field,
especially in the festival where getting a pint,
it's a nightmare.
drinking it and getting back out again.
It's a horrible experience trying to down a pint and then all the Guinness farts in the village. You just want to get out of there, you know.
Guinness Village on Friday is absolutely horrific.
Just getting back to the race. We don't want to detour. Andy's having a look what's going on here. I'm gonna just put up Garlaw here. His Cheltenham record is absolutely fantastic. He's a Paddy Power Gold Cup winner. He ran a cracker in the race again this year. I think Jamie Snowden is one of the best trainers in the UK. Very shrewd at placing his horses. He sends them up to Scotland on a regular basis. He often doesn't leave prizes behind. The fact that he's not running this horse over a fence, to me, he thinks he can win this race. And when you look at the front two in the betting, they've got so many flaws. I was at Newbury when Strong Leader, was it the long distance or the long walk? Long distance? Yeah, the long distance. Yeah. I wasn't impressed with him at all. Yeah. He made such hard work of beating Monmoral, a 142 rated hurdler. And there and then I thought, wow. And when he went to Ascot there and taken on Crambo, I wanted to be against him all day long. Crambo's another one.
Went off 11 to 8 favourite, that didn't he?
I felt sorry for punters who backed him. I was going to put a tweet out there, RIP to punters who are backing Strong Leader today, but you know, I'll let them make their own mind up. I'd be against the front two in the market and have a basic each way on Garlaw there, even though I'm not really much of an each way punter.
Just a little aside as well for those that like to make notes of races afterwards. Just keep a sneaky eye on transmission here.
28 to 1.
Yeah, he's got no chance of winning this.
Right.
And I don't think Connections will be that bothered.
Okay.
But I thought it was very significant that Paddy Mullins came over to ride him at the previous meeting when he won.
Yeah.
I thought he did well to win that day. He's got a really good record at Cheltenham. And the fact, like I said, Paddy Mullins rode it, I've got a sneaky feeling that they might team up in the Kinmure for amateur riders.
Interesting.
So this is a run, I would have thought, to try and, he's got a mark of 130 odd, hasn't he, over fences, or something in around that. To have another little spin prior to Cheltenham, what perfect way to do it over hurdles on trials day. And then I'll be looking to him having an entry, perhaps in both of the two chases, the Kinmure and the one on the first day. Name escapes me, that 3 mile handicap. The Ultima.
Yeah.
The Ultima, because he could have an option either way. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Patrick Mullins gets the call for transmission.
He's a true trainer, Mulholland.
Currently around about 14 to 1, I think, for the Kinmure.
That is what the Cheltenham Roar is all about. Andy putting up a horse for
George,
a handicap
if we just go
chase
back to Constitution Hill quickly.
There's
26 grand for finishing second. There's 13 grand for third. 7 grand for fourth. Who's going to be second? What's the forecast?
It's 26 grand, isn't it, for finishing second,
Good
which
prize,
is
mate.
not to be sniffed at.
Yeah.
I don't think Connections and Brentford Hope were necessarily thinking of coming down this route, but their hands kind of been forced because the Kingwell Hurdle, I think, was the main plan after Windsor the other day when he had a little bit of a spin round there. So strictly on current form and his overall profile, he looks the second best. But with Harry Durham's horses slightly under a cloud at the moment, maybe something like Phil Dudures, who finished fourth behind Brighter Days Ahead in his last race in a Grade 1. He could be good enough to pick up some pieces to finish second. And there'll be a lot of people looking at that thinking, well, you know, you can't bet Constitution Hill or don't want to, but there's going to be some interesting little betting on what will chase him home.
What's Durham's current record?
We've got 2 to 5 Brentford Hope to win without Connie, and Phil the Dudere 7 to 2.
Could be a smidgen, a little bit of a smidgen.
You had
value.
a stat about Durham's current form, is it?
Yeah, it's been horrific.
Yeah,
0 from 33, including 7 beaten favourites. I mean, I wouldn't be going near him as a punter. I'm a punter who plays at the front end of the market, and I've got to be very careful about what horses I back, because it's got to work very carefully. They're not running great. You want to see a huge...
I think this is 2 races. To be backing in, what, would say 2 to 5?
Yeah, he's 2 to 5, but I think you know, I think the play in the race is definitely if you can get into a shop and get a distance bet on over 10, you're going to be in clover.
The other problem as well with betting in races without the favourite is sometimes the second favourite has an onus on it to try and win the race. Because it's the second favourite.
Yeah.
So you often find that horses that finish second are ridden to finish second, rather than actually try and ride to win the race or upset the favourite. Yeah. So you almost want to think, have a bit of reverse psychology, really.
Tries to go with Constitution Hill and just can't, you know, then suddenly you're going to drop off.
Exactly, The ones that chase Constitution Hill and try and go with him, they end up paying for it and they end up dropping out. So you want to be like Phil Dudures will probably be ridden like he was at Leopardstown last time out, a little bit cold out the back.
Yeah. So Constitution Hill Feed Dairy forecast, so look out for that without market as well with PricedUp. And just quickly before we move on to the last race on the cards, quick look at the stayers market here, where Tiapu's a 5 to 4 favourite, Home by the Lee 7 to 1, Lucky Place 12 to 1, Crambo 14 to 1. Any reason to think, you know, say Crambo goes and wins this well, could there be any value there for the stayers, or do you think Tiapu in particular just a different class?
Yeah, I think it's still a fairly weakish division in comparison to how it was back in the day when you had the real superstars, your big bucks and your barracudas. With the greatest respect to Tiapu, I don't think he's in quite that category. And you'd have to respect him obviously because he won it last year, and he looks as though he's just going to go straight there. He's good when he's fresh. I do think Home by the Lee is probably still underestimated. I think he's a better horse than he was this time last year. And don't forget, last year he almost failed in the early on.
Yep.
It completely ruined his chance. And he still ran commendably, even considering what happened to him. But I thought he was really good the other day at Leopardstown when he beat Bob Ollinger.
Stayed on powerfully, didn't he?
He did, because he looked in trouble throughout. But I know a little bit of an insight to Home by the Lee. Apparently he doesn't like other horses and he has to race wide. Yeah. They put the blinkers on him as well to kind of give him a little bit of tunnel vision. So he has to he's a bit of a claustrophobic horse. He doesn't like to be putting amongst the pack. So he
Sounds like me on a tube on a Monday morning.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly, especially all those germs flying around. So that's definitely got to be, he's got to be a consideration in this year's race, Home by the Lee.
How do you see the stayers market?
I went into the ring with £5 cash last year and back to Yapu. And I've been nibbling him for the last 2 months. He's my second biggest win of the year, besides galloping the Champs for the Gold Cup. He'll be trained to a T. He's probably got about £5 to £9 in hand to the rest of the field. I don't think Home by the Lee loves Cheltenham. I think he'll run an admirable race, and I think he's probably one for the forecast. But let's face it, this is a woeful division. Christ almighty, as Andy has already said, from the days of Limestone Lads and Big Bucks and Barracudas and all those great stayers. And that was when I first got into horse racing, and I was really blessed at that time. We had the Mastermindeds and the Quarter Stars and the Denmans. I think I, as a race fan, got into the sport at a peak almost, you know. But watching this stayers division over the last few years has been an absolute shambles. I think if Lossiemouth running the race, it would be quite interesting, but she's obviously not going to. But no, Tiapu is one of the bankers of the festival. He won't be beat, and he should pop the last and go 3 or 4 clear.
So maybe I can have a treble with the 2 short ones we've already put up, and then into the festival for Tiapu. There you go.
Absolutely.
Riding
would not
on.
put you off. And I think loads of boys have been doing this from the festival last year and during the Christmas period. I've seen some juicy slips on Twitter. Some of these prices these boys get with these sports books make me want to cry at times. When you can't get on, it breaks your heart, you know?
So we've got Tiapu there, 5-4 favourite for the stayers.
He'll go off odds on the day, in my opinion.
You're one of these punters that rest easy on the build-up to Cheltenham, or you're one of these ones that sort of panic opening the racing post every day and to think, oh Christ, there's something gone wrong with my horse and he might not run and all that kind of stuff.
I've been punting for about 22 years now. And for the first 10, I would have been. But when you get to the stage and the stakes I bet at now, you just, whatever.
Yeah.
I've had mega anti-post bets, Andy, to win 5 figures.
Yeah.
And they broke down the day before the race. And
it's heartbreaking, isn't it?
You tilt you for a few
Absolutely
days. I stopped gambling for a few days afterwards because you're gone.
There's nothing worse than having a good anti-post bet and then finding that within a week before the race,
it's painful. It really hurts. It's a dagger to the heart.
Yeah.
But then I've had some ones recently, like this year, when I backed the Godolphin filly at 10s, 12s and 14s for the mile race at Newmarket, and she went off at 4-7, and I won over 25 grand. So I've had some great days doing them. Like I said, Galloping the Champs is my biggest winner of the year in the Gold Cup. I ploughed all the 4s, 7 to 2s and 3s, and I think I got off odds on the day. So I think there's a lot of value in anti-post betting. It's tricky to get on. You've got to work hard. And I think all these moaners on Twitter, and as we all know, moaners are 10 a penny on social media, but the doers are the ones who get out there and get on. And there is money to be had anti-post, and I think there's great value. People say anti-post betting's dead. Bollocks. It's not. It's alive and well. You can get on. Yeah. You know?
Got to be brave at the same time.
You do have to be brave, but there's a lot of value there. I remember getting a grand on Goshen at 18-1 for the Triumph a few years ago. When that fell, that's a long journey home.
But, you had the pain after the race.
The first rule
before it.
Which I'm not sure which one's worse, really. Just counting my money.
The first rule about being on this show is that you're not allowed to mention Goshen's.
Oh, right. That's that bad.
I'm still smarting. Final race on the card is the Novice Hurdle over... extended 2.5 miles. Potter's Charm is the 8-11 favourite here, ahead of Bill Joyce at 9-2. Quebecois is 13-2. 6 Mile Bridge 11-1, weighed out 11-1, 16-1 bar. And I always think your Novice Hurdle stuff is in particular very telling because often these horses haven't done too many miles under the bonnet. Can't say the same for Potter's Charm. So kind of a couple of questions for you. Number one, how does speed figures stack up with the kind of festival winners in the past? But also, is there any concern about how much he's done already this season?
I'm quite surprised they are coming here. But I think you've got to give a lot of credit and to nod to Twiston Davis and the team for getting him to peak pretty much 4 times in the season. That's the reason why I think they perhaps might have gone straight to the festival and come here. It's a little bit of a surprise. He's just been brilliant, hasn't he? He's caught me a little bit unawares. I didn't think much of him early on the season when he beat Valgrand. That doesn't really equate to a great deal.
Did you ever bet in that race?
I didn't know, but I probably would have gone Valgrand funny enough on that, because I thought
everyone did.
I thought 2 miles around Cheltenham might suit Valgrand, but Potter's Charm kicked him into touch. He's then proven his stamina the next day, and I thought it was a bit of a tasty little race at Aintree last time out. There were some good horses in that, but it came to test the stamina as the race did the year before that Formby on rain softened ground, and his ability to stay 2.5 miles was the key component to him winning, I think. But they were strung out like washing that day, and like I say, he beat some decent horses. So I've got no doubt in my mind that he's top class. He's the fastest horse that we've got so far on our numbers over this side of the RSC on data on where he sits.
Faster than the New Lion.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Not by much.
Yeah.
We've got 68 for Potter's Charm, which is well down on the average that we normally get. Normally, like you get 70. But the winner of the Supreme and the Turners, as now it is.
Confusing that.
I know. I got to remember. Yeah. It changed last year, didn't it?
Yeah.
It went from
Bearing Bingham.
Yeah, exactly.
Neptune,
it's all over the place.
Yeah.
The usual average is between 70 and 75. You've had to run that kind of time figure to be considered a winner of either one of those 2 races. There's only been 1 horse this season that has run over 70. And none of them are in the 2.5 mile category. We got 68 for Potter's Charm, 65 only for the New Lion. Again, a similar scenario to Lalumba. He can only run that fast because that's
the and pace so easily as well.
Yeah, the pace that the race was. If they would have run an extra furlong per furlong quicker, that of course he could have run over a centre. We could all work that out. But as it stands at the moment, he hasn't run the average of what you normally expect. And the best horse in Ireland is the Yellow Clay. He's run a 67. So that's below the 70 watermark. The only one that's run over it is Romeo Coolio, who we got running a 71 in that good race at Leopardstown the other day. So I think he's a bona fide challenger and a worthy second favourite for the Supreme. But with regards to the 2.5 mile category, looking at these runners here, Potter's Charm sets a really good standard. I think he's a better horse than Bill Joyce. I think the Nichols horse is a nice horse, the 3rd favourite, but the others don't look up to it. I actually think Ben Pauling's horse, Jigs Forge, is it? If he would have run in this rather than the River Don, I would have been seriously interested in him, but they're going to Doncaster instead. So with him out of the way, again, I think we're looking at Potter's Charm sending punters out home, or short price favourite punters home, very happy.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, I mean I'm trying to find Jigs Force 6-1 the price up for the River Don. So there you go. And you're going out a Kim Muir horse you're going out a tip at Doncaster on Saturday as well, treating the listeners and the viewers.
That's a big price, by the way. That
6-1.
He won't be anywhere near that.
Stephen, how do you see this?
I think this is as good as a young horse that Nigel and Sam and Willie have ever had. I think he's really, really good. I was at Cheltenham at the November meeting. I went there to back Potter's Charm. He was my bet of the day. I was in the ring. I met a few commission agents before the race who were running bets for other people. I said, what are you betting? I'm betting Valgrand for everyone under the sun. I went, really? I went, I'm here to back Potter's Charm. So I start second guessing myself because all the pros want to be on Valgrand. And I'm there in the ring with a good mate of mine, and we watch Potter's Charm go from evens to 15.08, and I'm going, nah, mate, this is all wrong. And I just steam into the rails and have the lot on. And he goes and does exactly what I thought he'd do. He's backed it up by going to Aintree and grinded out a win on really nasty conditions. This is a real lovely prospect for that team. And I think a lot of the horses in behind haven't shown anywhere near the form. I'm not impressed with that Bill Joyce form line at Sandown with Quebecio last time out. I think the ground was really nasty. I think they look like stayers in the making to me. Whereas I think this horse has a turn of foot. I think he'll be able to out-gallop them and outspeed them, jump in the second last. He'll win. He's a banker bet. Whether he's good enough to win at the Cheltenham Festival, I don't know. But this is a beautiful young horse in the making. And I think that rating of 146 is more than justified.
Yeah, for the Turners Novice Hurdle, the New Line is the 5-2 favourite. Potter's Charm 7-1. The Yellow Clay 15-2. Kopek board 8-1, 12-1 bar. I mean, where would you? Obviously, the New Line visually unbelievable last time out, and an eye-watering price tag came off the back of it.
Yeah.
How do you see this market as it stands?
Very, very tricky. Not a race of any interest in as a punter. I think it's a guessing game. I think you're just hedging on something happening. I don't believe the new line is as good as what we've seen. I think the fact that Regent Stroll ran so appallingly in that race and he was the second favourite on the day puts a bit of a dampener on the form lines for me. Don't get me wrong, visually so impressive. The way Harry Skelton was dipping in and dipping out, you know. Is he the real deal? We're going to find out. I have no opinion on that race. I think it's a real tricky race. I think the fact that the yellow clay is he third favourite, for me, is staggering. He's nowhere near fast enough to win a Turners, especially if it's good to soft on the day. I'll be amazed if that doesn't run in the Albert Bartlett. Amazed. And I know you said he's performed a real good time figure.
I had that opinion as well, Stephen. When I put him up, I put the yellow clay up after he won first time out over hurdles, and I put him up second time. I think he was 16-1 for both, and because I wasn't sure at the time, so I advised half a point win at 16s for both the Albert Bartlett and the Turners, because I thought the Albert Bartlett looked the most logical solution for him. But I think he's shown a lot more speed than what I previously thought. Right. He beat a horse called Fleur in the Park at Navan the next day, and Fleur in the Park went a real nice slow gallop, but the sectionals from sort of like the top of the hill down to the line were like miles better than anything else. I think Jasmine DeVoe won on the same card, and he was about 15 lengths quicker than him. So I knew he'd beat him in the Lawlers of Naas because he was just a quicker horse and he jumped better. So he showed good 2 mile tactical speed that day, and then he ground out a good result last time out in the Lawlers of Naas. I think he's actually taken Gordon Elliott by surprise as well. So I think they're definitely running him in the right race, the 2.5 mile race. I think he's too good to run in the Albert Bartlett. Even though he's still roughly in and around the same place. I'll be stunned if they didn't run him in the better race.
I think we're going to learn a lot.
6-1 favourite is for the Albert Bartlett.
Like the DRF with Willie's horses. We're going to find out now who is the Willie Mullins Turner's horse.
To have a Cheltenham Novice hurdle, which is just dominated by UK trained horses, is
it's been a strange year for the Irish novices. We haven't seen a superstar
or
one who's hitting that level.
Not exactly. Not, like normally we have a standout like a Dovan, a Vato, a Ballyburn that's done like a 75, 74 on the numbers.
We'll get to this in another show, but how does Salvatore Monday stack up on numbers?
Oh, absolutely desperate.
Really?
Yeah. We got 56, we got him.
Really?
Yeah, terrible. It's a terrible race.
Wow.
So in your opinion, he cannot win the Supreme?
Oh, I'd never say cannot, because, like I say, I'd never say that because they run a number that we've got. That's just fact what they run on the day. That's their number they run. It doesn't mean to say that's the fastest they'll ever run.
Yeah.
Because the circumstances of another race could be totally different and they might just be as good. But tradition tells you that if you go into Cheltenham off the back of a terrible time figure, it's a baptism of fire when they're running in a proper like championship race, running against the best horses. You're likely to get found out. All I'm saying is I think he's a terrible price favourite. Yeah. He's priced upon, he's won the Moscow Flyer, and he's Willie Mullins, and he's the sexy cottage Joe Donnelly's and what have you. But it was a terrible race. I mean, the horses he beat, they were winning Maiden Hills and Cork and places like that. Yeah. It was it just didn't look a normal Moscow Flyer race like you normally get.
Agreed.
Right. That's through the card on Saturday. Before we let you guys go, what's the nap? What's the best bet of the day on Saturday?
Jigs Forge. Am I allowed to say?
Yeah, that's fine.
Jigs Forge in the River Don. I would have backed him to not necessarily think he's definitely going to beat Potter's Charm, but I would have expected him to sort of run well against Potter's Charm. The race that he won at Fosslas, he went off a real good gallop that day, and he saw off some good horses.
66-1 for the Turners Novice Hurdle.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure whether he's a Grade 1 horse, but I know Ben thinks a lot of him, and he's done really well with his Novice Hurdles so far this season. He's got a really good, nice bunch of horses. He had one that won at Huntingdon the other day, Vanderbilt, what it's called. I think he's quite a good horse. But based on the numbers that we've got, this Jigs Forge is the best of the lot. And the second, the third and the fourth have all won out of that race at Fosslas. And they've won well as well.
Yeah.
So I've been looking forward to Jigs Forge running since. And this has been the plan, apparently. So hopefully he'll make all the running, because Doncaster is a good place to try and make all the running over.
Nice speedy track.
Is that 6-1 top price, by the way?
6-1 priced up.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Get that account opened, Andy.
What's your nap?
Yeah, fairly simple East India Dock. I think the fact we've got a second and third favourite are both having their UK debuts, ex-French horses. They're not going to be hard drilled for this. You don't ever want to kill these young French horses. You want to take it really easy on them and give them a nice introduction. This is a hardcore flat horse who's performed exceptional runs over hurdles. I'd be flabbergasted if he got beat. You know, that'll be the money in the bag on the way back to London on the train.
Are you going to be there on Saturday?
Yeah, just recovered from a nasty little cold that I picked up at Ascot, feeling a bit better today.
Giving to us as we speak?
Yeah,
No, it's only a cold. It's only a cold. Yeah, I'll be there. I've got to go and see Constitution Hill.
Yeah.
You've got to go and see him. If that doesn't get you out of bed as a race fan, I don't think there is a point being a race fan.
I very rarely go racing now, particularly on Saturdays. Got family life and stuff like that, but I do go to trials day because I just like being there.
Will you be there? Will you?
Yeah, I just actually like just getting the feel for the horses that run on the day and just seeing them in the paddock. It's just a good day to go racing.
It's a nice card.
Yeah, it is.
Cotswold shows a great
You don't have to
little race.
bet in every race.
Exactly.
Obviously, we put horses up and take them or leave them, but I just think it's good viewing without looking at every race from a serious punting aspect.
And where's the best breakfast in Cheltenham?
Well, that's a good question. I'm normally too pissed to know, George.
Breakfast?
Yeah. Well, during the festival. Listen, when I get off the train at Cheltenham, I'm probably straight to the racecourse by the time I get there. I'm one of those who like to arrive quite late.
Yeah.
I'm not an early bird. There are a few spots, but I actually can't remember them.
Right.
So,
Next time.
Yeah.
We'll be back again on Tuesday. We won't be in the studio, we'll be remote, but I'll be talking to Andy and to Ed Quigley as we review what happened on Saturday, look for any festival pointers and cast our eyes forward to the weekend racing as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Again, what's the, anyone who hasn't got a PricedUp account, or those that do, what's the double, what are the offers?
Yep, there's going to be a huge boost on East India Dock and Potter's Charm, like we do every Saturday. This will be top price in the industry. If you love a bit of value, if you love a shorty who looks like they're going to win, this is going to be the bet for you.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, make sure you do sign up for an account. I can vouch it is a good punting experience. Thank you very much to Blogger.
Pleasure. 45 days out from the festival.
Here we
Let's
go.
get it, baby.
Thank you to Andy.
It's been a pleasure, yeah.
This has been episode 1, I should say, of the Cheltenham Roar, brought to you by oddschecker and PricedUp. Make sure you sign up for a PricedUp account. Check out oddschecker for all of your fixed odds betting needs as well. Enjoy the weekend's racing. Please ensure that you're gambling responsibly, and we'll see you next week.